Bones is a great nickname by any standards, but Star Trek's Dr. Leonard McCoy was called a much funnier moniker first. As one side of Star Trek's Kirk-Spock McCoy triumvirate, DeForest Kelley's chief medical officer was a pivotal figure during the early voyages of the Enterprise. One of McCoy's most memorable character traits was the nickname Bones, predominantly used by Captain Kirk. As well as sounding effortlessly cool, the idea of a ship's doctor going by the name Bones struck a chord, and it remains inextricably woven in the fabric of McCoy's character. McCoy did not appear in Star Trek, the original series' pilot, The Cage, with medical duties instead performed by John Hoyt's Dr. Boyce. Kelley was one of the many new faces who joined Star Trek's cast after the trip to Talos 4. Calling into action immediately, McCoy enjoys a prominent role in The Man Trap, the episode that would ultimately provide the world with its very first taste of Joan Roddenberry's creation. Curiously, The Man Trap gives McCoy a very different nickname before the character ever gets called Bones. The Man Trap finds the Enterprise on a routine trip to perform medical checks on a Federation scientist and his wife. A mission complicated by the fact that said wife and Dr. McCoy once shared a romantic relationship. While attempting to remain professional, Star Trek's The Man Trap puts McCoy in a string of difficult positions, and his affection for the woman in question, Nancy Crater, is obvious from the beginning. Memories of wistful years gone by are first rekindled when Nancy spots McCoy and calls out, "Plum," in an adoring voice, as McCoy is forced to explain to an amused Captain Kirk. Plum was Nancy's pet name for him during their time together. While Kirk enjoys needling his doctor with the cutesy nickname, Plum isn't a tag that sticks for the remainder of Star Trek, the original series. Nevertheless, it's certainly strange that the man universally known as Bones actually gets called by a totally different nickname the first time audiences meet him. It's striking to imagine that viewers in 1966 would have associated Dr. McCoy as Plum before anything else. The Man Trap may not have been designed as the very first episode of Star Trek, nor as an introduction to its main players, but the Plum joke perfectly encapsulates Dr. McCoy's character nonetheless. DeForest Kelley begins the episode with McCoy's typical brash, forthright demeanor in full flow, refusing to entertain Kirk's jibes about Nancy and determined to keep his mind on the job at hand. The reveal of Plum as an old nickname, however, teases an inner softness to McCoy, a more vulnerable, romantic, tender side that can be easily swayed by emotions such as love.